Good evening, Matt. Just so you know, we're live with YouTube.
All right.
Good evening, Matt. Just so you know, we're live with YouTube.
And Jake, how do I get back to? All right.
Good evening, Matt. Just so you know, we're live.
You can just close the YouTube video. You don't have to keep it open.
Okay. Okay, got it.
Although I know we're on YouTube. Matt, during the meeting, when we talk about 229 Harrison, I'm going to ask you just to talk a little bit about the notice that's already been submitted to start that.
Sounds good.
Clerk Lavoy, I did not receive any emails or notices from other council members. I'm assuming you had not either.
No, I have not.
Okay.
I'll double check, but I have not, to my knowledge.
I just checked mine too. We have 5, which is a quorum, but we'll see. Oh, here comes Councilman Vining now. Councilman, good evening.
Paula was having email problems. I talked to her earlier, so I don't know. I gave her the password, but maybe she can't find the link or something.
I know that connection was out in this area earlier today.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Councilman Vine, just so you know that we are running on YouTube currently live, so you have that awareness.
I know that Councilwoman Whitman asked me to reset her password, though I never heard back from her if she was able to get access into her email. That was this morning at about 11 o'clock.
Sure she's not texting me.
She's texting you?
No, I'm looking to see. I don't think she is.
It looks like she's connecting right now.
Oh, okay. Yep, I see it. There she is.
Good evening, Councilwoman Whitman. Okay, Councilwoman Whitman, I think you were talking. You might be muted. Just want to let you know that we are on YouTube currently as we get situated before we start. I think that was an okay.
And then, Your Honor, I have 7:30, so whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I just want to make sure. I think we are ready, but I just want to confirm that Councilwoman Whitman can provide audio. Looking for. Might need an assist.
Councilwoman Whitman, it doesn't show that you're muted, so, oh, and we lost her. She looks like she's frozen.
Yeah, it looks like it's frozen. Well, I know it's time, but let's just take a minute while she might be back. We'll just take a minute here till she gets situated, so make sure she can audio with us.
She says she can't get her volume.
Okay. She might need to call in.
It looks like she's using a mobile device to join in, and not her normal tablet.
I'm asking her to call in.
Okay. Thank you. I see we have 18 participants, but just want to give her that opportunity to be able to respond for the roll call, any questions you may have, and votes, of course.
We do have a phone attendee ending in 388. I don't know if that's her possibly or someone else.
She doesn't have the number, so I'm gonna, Jake, do you have the number handy that you could text her, or do you need me to do that?
I actually just emailed her the information
Okay, thank you.
to her personal email because I thought she was locked out of her city
Okay.
email.
I'm gonna tell her. All right, I just texted her.
She's looking.
All right. And I forwarded her another copy on her phone, so that may help her as well.
Okay.
Unfortunately, because she's on a cell phone, I think I can't remote in to assist.
Okay.
So as we're waiting here momentarily, I'll just say if we have participants that are on the line or in, just so you know, we're getting prepared to start. A little technical minute here for some audio for the councilwoman, but just please hold on.
Michelle,
Yes.
Paula can't get to her email, so what is the phone number that she needs to call in?
She could try 1312
Wait a minute, 1312
626
626.
6799.
Okay, I'll give it to her.
Okay.
You have to send the meeting ID as well.
Okay, and
meeting
the meeting ID is 937-2683-6078, and the password, Jake, too?
Yes.
Is 274130.
Wow, okay.
Thanks, Councilman.
If she can get to the city's website, it's also posted in the announcements page.
I texted it to her as well.
She's gonna give it a shot.
Okay,
Thank you.
we have a couple more numbers if that one doesn't work.
That's usually the best one because that's out of Chicago.
Okay, that's what I figured. I mean, I didn't remember it was out of Chicago, but
The only real differences in the numbers is the geographic location.
okay.
That's her phone
Hello?
number.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
we can.
Councilwoman, yes, we can. So I think yes, you can hear us correctly?
Yes, but they told me I was going to be muted through the meeting, so I wanted to make sure.
I allowed you, I clicked what I needed to click so you could speak.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Well, wonderful. That's excellent. And I think we're ready to begin at 7:39 is what I have, Clerk Lavoy.
Yes, that's
Okay.
what I have. Okay.
So we have all council members present and a quorum, of course. So this time, call the city council meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Lamore?
Here.
Felder?
Here.
Whitman?
Here,
Angeli?
Here.
Vining?
Here.
Germaine?
Here.
Mayor Clark?
Present. So please, with the invocation, and we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance then. Clerk.
Help us look to yesterday with gratitude and the future with hope. Remember those who have gone before us with a vision of building a world better than they had known. Teach us to be realistic about our limitations, but never to lose hope in our potential to transcend them.
Thank you. I see Councilman Moore has his flag up. So if we would, I pledge allegiance
To the
to the
flag
flag of the United
The
States
United States of America and
and
to
to the
the
republic
Republic for which
which
it
stands
stands
one nation
stands,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
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 liberty and
liberty and
justice for all.
justice for all.
Thank you. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item are any amendments to the agenda.
Mr. Pastu, any adjustments or amendments?
Your Honor, I don't have any items to add to tonight's agenda.
And I didn't receive any from council members, so but I'll see, they don't see any. But with that, clerk, next item, please.
The next item is under council action, and it's item 2741, approval of subcommittee related to Lazy Boy redevelopment project.
Thank you. I know this carries over from our last meeting, just in the general discussion and also now for action tonight. Mr. Pastu, I know that you had some items that you wanted to review plus the assignments.
Yep. Thank you, Your Honor. This is just a follow-up from our work session last Monday night. And it just formally appoints the 3 members that we talked about being part of the subcommittee for, the Lazy Boy site development and PUD plan. It adds council member Iko Angeli, Germaini, and Lamore, working along with staff such as myself, Mr. Cochran, Mr. Sell, Green, and Patrick Lewis.
Very good. I don't see any comments, and of course, I didn't start the meeting with the raised hands and stuff, but Councilman Michelangelo, if you want to start us and see if there's comments.
Yes, Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we approve the subcommittee members for the Lazy Boy redevelopment site.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Michelangelo, supported by Councilman Lamore, for item 2741, the approval of the subcommittee on the related to Lazy Boy redevelopment. Any comments or questions? Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Whitman,
Yes.
Iko Angeli,
Yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Germaini,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item is item 2740, authorization to demolish fire damaged house at 229 Harrison.
I believe, Mr. Pastor, you might have some follow-ups and or Mr. Buds, some up-to-dates on this.
Thank you, Your Honor. This request, though, is requesting authorization for the city manager to proceed with demolition of property damaged at 229 Harrison. The fire took place on May 5th. The current owner did not have any insurance, and it's beyond a point where it could reasonably be repaired. So the building department's issued a notice to the property owner to demolish the home, move debris, restore the site. I've had one conversation with the individual. He seemed interested in just granting us a consent agreement allowing us to proceed with the demolition. That was prepared by City Attorney Matt Buds. I've tried to contact him a couple of times, got a hold of him today, but he was at an appointment and we couldn't reconnect later on. But this would just give myself as manager authorization, if the individual signs the consent agreement, to move forward, authorizing approval up to a not to exceed amount of $25,000 for the work.
Okay, we'll start with that first. Then I see Councilman Germaini and Councilman Michelangelo having hands up. Councilwoman Germaini.
Vince, how fast can we demolish this house? It looks pretty dangerous to me.
Well, we're actually have got the building department already working to solicit bids in anticipation of achieving this consent. I know they're talking with 3 different contractors, and that's part of what this was. We wouldn't bring it back to council. If you just give me the authority up to 25 grand, we'll execute, purchase agreement for the demolition. But a lot of it has to do is how quickly we can get it back from the contract or from the property owner to provide that consent. But it could literally be within a couple of weeks if everything went quick.
That's good. Thank you.
Councilman Michelangelo, then I'll go to Lamore, but Councilman, if you want to start.
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. I guess a couple questions. We know that we have a property owner. We know that the property owner didn't have insurance on his own property. We know that the property owner didn't file for a non-homestead, so he was benefiting from not paying the extra 18 mills in taxes. My question is, are we suing him?
We have not contemplated, at least city administration has, nor have I had any conversation with Mr. Buds about.
I am more than happy to make a motion that we proceed with suing him for reimbursement. And also I would like the attorney to notify the Michigan Department of Treasury that this gentleman committed fraud by not filing the appropriate paperwork, that this was a non-homestead property. I'm really kind of tired of this going on in the city of Monroe. And I'm sorry, he needs to be made an example of.
So I think that's obviously something that Councilman can move forward. If we could take the demolition authorization, and then if there's a follow-up on rather than tying together, just make the authorization, but then also address your second point as well. And we'll Councilman Michelangelo, a follow-up?
Yeah, Your Honor, I would like him to know as part of the consent agreement that he's going to get sued to reimburse the city for the demolition.
So,
And if he doesn't, then we can take appropriate action in court to get rid of it as a blighted property. But I am not willing, as a council person, and that's in my precinct, to let this guy skate by in terms of not paying his appropriate taxes, not filing that he's got a non-homestead, not registering it as a rental property, and then having the city of Monroe taxpayers tear his property down. Unacceptable, absolutely unacceptable. So I want to know what the city administration is going to do in a very aggressive way with this gentleman.
okay, we have two other hands, so I think we'll get, maybe there's some additional comments, and then we'll go from there. Councilwoman Moore, and then Councilman Fellner.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Just on Councilman Michelangelo's sentiment, I definitely agree with him on this. And the next thing I'd like to know is, where is the property, who owns the property after it is demolished? Is it coming back to us? Does the landowner retain it? That benefit of receiving the tear down? Just a quick question on that.
Looks like Mr. Butts has a response.
If I may, Your Honor, I would just like to give a little bit of the overview of the timeline and process. So as we stand right now, the city building department issued a notice and order that the property needed to be demolished after the fire, which was, I will say, my recommendation, and with the city administration, the appropriate first step to make sure we get rid of that property in its current condition. The consent form that I had prepared along Mr. Pastou's direction, it envisions the quick demolition of the property without the need for a construction board of appeals hearing if the property owner would so consent. I specifically made reference to the fact that the invoice would be issued for the cost of that demolition can be added as a lien against the property, and incorporated all the provisions of our ordinance, which deals with collection, which I think it's fair to say in this context includes personal pursuit of that. The hope was that we would at least get the consent to get the property taken care of in short order, always preserving our legal right to pursue the collection on that matter. And it would remain my recommendation that that's an appropriate way to proceed about this. Certainly agreeing to a consent where he would authorize us to take action on that property to have it demolished makes no prohibition against our later and aggressive actions to collect on that front, but will hopefully speed the matter to a resolution as far as getting that structure so that it's not in a dangerous condition.
But before we go, because I know there's some other comments I can say, Councilman Moore, Councilman Feller, I think you dropped in, maybe you got your question answered, but Councilman Moore his inquiry was, what becomes the status of the property when all said and done? And then,
Yeah, I apologize.
So Councilman Feller, go ahead.
I apologize. So got too much in the process and didn't get to the end. So the property, if in fact, and the property owner indicates that he has some delinquency on his taxes, one outcome that is possible to happen in that scenario is that the property would revert then back to the county at that point in time, extinguishing all other liens, including the city's, and the county takes back the property. But as it stands right now, that property is in private hands of the owner. Our focus would be on demolition and then the possibility of collection for the cost thereof. If he's not collectible, then there does become a scenario where, if he is truly uncollectible and the property reverts back to the county on taxes, that is one of the unfortunate possibilities that can occur in a situation such as this.
Councilman Felder, and then I'll come back across the board.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, most of my questions were answered as to the specific content of the consent agreement. But regarding its transition back to the county's ownership? Is it to the land bank specifically, or can the county sort of do whatever it wants with it? How's that work?
Mr. Buds?
Your Honor, so in that situation, it's the county that will essentially take it back. Recall, the city always has the opportunity to take advantage of the ability to select those sites as they come through the tax foreclosure process. I will confess to you, as I sit here this evening, I don't know the status of what his real estate delinquency might be, but realizing that from the outset can be about a 3-year process from your first missed year of taxes to the property forfeiting and foreclosing. That certainly I can't tell you where that particular property is in that timeline as I sit here right now today.
Council Felder?
So eventually, given that we're putting a lien against the property, but nothing impending. It answers my question. Thank you, Mr. Buds.
Before I go to Councilman Michelangelo, I want to make sure, Councilwoman Whitman, I know that you're on through audio, and at an opportunity, if you wish to a question, just please speak up, but I'll go to Councilman Michelangelo.
I have no problem interrupting.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Michelangelo.
Your Honor, this is exactly what I'm afraid of what's going to happen. We're going to get a consent order from this gentleman to allow us to tear down his building that he had no insurance on. And then we're going to put a lien on his property. And then he is not going to pay his taxes for 3 years. It's going to revert to the land bank. And then the city of Monroe may end up with that property for $1. And it's the property owners in the city of Monroe, the taxpayers, that get stuck with this bill. I am not willing to wait 4 years to collect from this guy. I want to go after him right now. And I want the state of Michigan to go after him right now. Otherwise, we're going to end up with a derelict piece of property that's going to go on the tax roll for $1 3 years from now. This guy's going to walk away, and the city of Monroe is going to be holding the bag for $25,000. So I don't want to go down this road again. This guy has done everything wrong, and I don't want him to get scot-free. I want to be in court with him, as far as I'm concerned, tomorrow on this issue.
You know, if I,
No, Mr. Pastu?
no, I didn't mean to interrupt, Mr. Eckelangeli. If you're,
That's all right.
no, I think that, clearly what we're asking for tonight is to try and expedite the demolition of an obviously dangerous property. I know at the next meeting on June 1st, there's the closed sessions that I was hoping for tonight will be there. The city attorney gives his quarterly legal review. And I think in the context of assembling all of the pertinent background recitals that would go with any type of complaint, we could probably present that and council consider it for action maybe on June 1st would be my suggestion, because we can work in preparing it in between now and then, but clearly walk you through it with more definitive details on some of the items that were brought forth.
Thank you, Mr. Pastu. Councilman Michelangelo, I think.
Your Honor, thanks. I want to keep exploring this, and I want to explore it with the city attorney. I'm assuming, since this is rental property, this gentleman owns his own property. And are we able, under various state statutes, to file liens against his other properties to make sure that we get paid for this demolition?
So if we, Your Honor, if I may.
Please do.
If we are to secure a money judgment against him, and now part of the scenario here is determining what the city's damages, financially speaking, would be in the event of a claim, right? And some of that is the demolition cost. So part of me says, from a strategic approach, is the best thing, A, get rid of the blighted property, get his consent to do that with no strings attached on the city's part that there's any waiver of any ability to pursue and collect that, have the demolition done, and then the amount of money that we're talking about, at least from that angle, in order to know what is being pursued. From there, if we proceed with a court action to hold him personally liable for the cost of that, in addition to putting a lien on that specific property, we can certainly go ahead and pursue that action. When and if that is successful, then we would have the right to collect on that judgment, including the placement of an overall judgment lien, which gets recorded with the county register of deeds and is applicable to all property located in the county that is owned by that individual in the name that the judgment would be against.
Councilman?
Your Honor, I want to explore it even further. What about damages to the property next door where the entire side of their house has been damaged?
Yeah, that was my question. Mr. Butts?
Your Honor, on that front, there's a little bit more of a, I'll say we probably have a standing question to explore there. Is that any damage to the city? I don't see that as damage to the city of Monroe as a municipal entity. Certainly, the neighboring property owner, if there's been damages, I could expect that they would be seeking to pursue that claim. My presumption is that they had insurance and that their insurance will pay that out, and there will be a subrogation claim that would then be filed against the property owner. But I see that as two independent tracks, really, and not directly involving the city.
One other question, can we have the city assessor contact the Department of Treasury and file any type of appropriate complaint with the Treasury that this gentleman has not paid his 18 mills in taxes?
We can put the city assessor on notice of that issue. I had started that conversation. It appears from the city of Monroe's GIS site that there may have been a partial homestead on this property. I believe according to the GIS, when I looked at it, it indicated a 60% homestead, which might suggest half was rented and half was occupied personally, but I don't believe that the facts at the time of the fire suggest that to be the truth. So that is one that requires a bit more exploration, and then certainly action could be taken to rescind and go back as far as any improper principal residence exemption, if that were the case.
National Weather Service has issued a special.
Okay. Councilwoman Germain, thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Germain has a hand, and we'll go back to the Councilwoman Moore.
So do we know that if this property owner has other homes in the city of Monroe, that could be a problem for us later?
I do not believe he has any other properties in the city of Monroe, but I can do an easy check on that.
Right. It's a good follow-up. Councilman Lamore, did you have a follow-up comment or question?
More or less, just legally, as far as homeowners insurance, what exactly are the legal aspects of that? Is he required to have homeowners insurance, renters insurance? And if not, is he liable for any damage that his house does and any cost that the city incurs? I would say yes.
But I'm looking at Mr. Buds. You know that some people, unfortunately, for whatever reason, they don't. Mr. Buds.
Your Honor, I'm not aware of there being any obligation to have insurance on a property, whether it be residential or commercial. Typically, where that comes into play is that that's a requirement of someone's lender. If you have a property free and clear, that becomes your own risk to take on, whether you do or not, to have that insurance. Unfortunately, in this circumstance, he elected not to do that. We've seen that pattern, unfortunately, play out from time to time. As far as damages go, certainly you then run into the issue of the demolition cost certainly being a cost that the city should not have to bear. But may elect to do that or advance that in order to remove the dangerous structure. In order to have liability to other property owners, then you'd have a question of, you know, was there negligence, some other theory for liability that would give rise to a claim? You know, an accidental fire, you would probably have more difficulty in proving that unless it was, you know, someone saw the owner torch the place and it's arson, and now you have, you know, other claims. And I'm not suggesting that to be the case here at all, or merely exploring legal theories. And so here, from the city's perspective, the main issue that would be my concern is the one that Councilman Angeli raised of the cost of demolition, you know, right now appearing that it might be advanced by the taxpayers and doing everything we could possibly to recoup that if there are assets to recoup against.
Thank you. And I think that's where it gets, from your question, Councilman Moore, then to Councilman Michelangelo's position, point well taken is all that gets done in the end, we're left with costs and more costs and not the resolution of, for everybody concerned. Councilman Michelangelo, you have your hand up. I don't know if you're, another comment or.
I'm fine, Your Honor. I think we need to get the house demolished, but I just think that we need to file the appropriate action in court to get this gentleman to reimburse the city of Monroe for our expense. And we need to do it sooner than later. I don't want to do it 4 years from now. I'd rather start that process 2 months from now.
Okay, Councilman. So I think as Mr. Buds and Mr. Pastor said, if we get the authorization, but we're coming back at our next meeting, obviously there's a legal update portion in that. And from what I heard is we'll have the information that we need to be able to then work forward from a attorney's opinion on what we can do. And maybe we can follow up and address that come the next meeting with a motion of some of the actions which you said or whatever they, or else they might be able to come up and learn and tell us about. So that work? Okay. Councilman Moore?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion, Your Honor, regarding Council Action 2740. I move that we authorize the city manager to proceed with demolition of the residential structure located at 229 Harrison Street to proceed for not to exceed amount of $25,000.
Second,
Okay, there's a motion by Councilwoman Moore, supported by Councilwoman Germaini on 2740, demolition of fire damaged house at 229 Harrison for the amount stated. And final comments. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Whitman,
Yes.
Angeli,
Yes.
Vining,
yes.
Germaini,
Yes,
Mayor Clark.
Yes. Note here, clerk, next item, please.
The next item is item 2739, West Lorraine Street Water Main Replacement Change Order Award.
Mr. Pastu, is there any, I know we have a fact sheet with the information. I know that Mr. Lewis is on the line if needed, but comments?
Yeah, we're just, Your Honor, we're asking that council approve a change order to the 2019 underground utility resurfacing program with Zeiler Excavating of Temperance for West Lorraine Street in the amount of $327,193, and then a total of $360,000 be encumbered for this. If you recall, last year we had a very aggressive water main replacement program, almost approaching $4 million, and Zeiler was the only contractor that submitted a bid. They're essentially holding the price to what they had submitted last year for this project, and we'd like to get it done in advance of some of the street work that's going to be taking place in that immediate area.
Yeah, I see a couple of hands up. I don't know if there's questions or action. Councilman Michelangelo and then Councilman Moore.
I'm fine, Your Honor. I forgot to lower my hand.
Okay, that's fine. Same there. Okay. Yeah, I looked away. I wasn't sure if it came up new. So I'll just ask, is there any questions for from council for Mr. Pascu or staff regarding this action item? Seeing none, a motion. Councilman Michelangelo.
Your Honor, I'll move that we approve the change order with ER Zeiler Excavating in the amount of $360,000, which includes the contingency regarding the West Lorraine Street water main replacement.
Second.
I'm looking who the second was. Oh, Councilman Moore. Okay, the motion by Councilman Michelangelo, supported by Councilman Lamore on item 2739 for the change order award as stated. Any final comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Whitman,
Yes.
Angeli,
Yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Germaini,
Yes,
Mayor Clark.
Yes. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item is item 2738, ordinance number 20-005, floodplain management.
Mr. Pastu, I know there's some adjustments from the last time this came up. I think this was clear in the fact sheet, but Any comments, please?
No, Your Honor, we just, or if you recall earlier this year, council adopted an ordinance amending our floodplain map with FEMA, and afterwards they wanted 2 more index panels to be added. And as you look at the ordinance, you can see they're pretty insignificant, but it does require that we go through the whole process of amending the ordinance. And so therefore tonight we're asking that you approve for a first reading of this 2005 ordinance and schedule the public hearing for the June 1st meeting.
Any questions from council? Councilman Felder,
I was just going to make a motion.
please do.
My motion that ordinance 20005, an ordinance to amend chapter 353 be amended and approved for its first reading, and that a public hearing be scheduled for June 1st, 2020.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Felder, supported by Councilman Lamore on item 2738, the ordinance number 20-005, floodplain management as stated. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Whitman,
Yes.
Nicoangeli,
Yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Jermaine,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes.
Ordinance 20-005, Chapter 353, Flood Hazard Areas, an ordinance to amend Chapter 353, Flood Hazard Areas of the Code of the City of Monroe.
Thank you. Next item, please.
The next item is item 2734, Wastewater System Corrective Action Plan Part 2, Professional Engineering Consulting Services.
Thank you. Mr. Pastor, any comments? I know that Mr. Leroy's on with us as well, but I think we're familiar with Fishbeck, but comments?
Your Honor, we're just asking council to approve next phase of work related to the corrective action plan for the wastewater system. The amount that we're requesting with Fishbeck Engineering is $162,000, and encumbering $174,000 in contingency for this. So I'm not sure if Mr. Leroy wants to add anything more to it, but again, I'll let Barry just say a couple words on it.
Sure. Thanks, Vince. Mayor and council, the areas, it's focused on 4 areas. I could share my screen if there's interest of the system where we're going to be working. We're kind of moving into the next phase to remove the inflow and infiltration, and kind of pinpoint the areas that need to be rehabilitated to ultimately certify the system. We have this corrective action plan came into our permit in 2018, and we have until 2026 to mitigate these.
Councilman Moore has his hand up, and then Councilman Michaelangeli. Comments, Councilman Moore, or?
Just making a motion.
Okay, let's see if Councilman Michaelangeli, comments or motions?
I had comments.
Please.
Barry, I know that we've done other I&I studies. How many areas within the sanitary system are left to do this type of work?
The corrective action plan required us to study the entire system. So the flow monitoring that occurred, as well as all the other tasks, was on the entire system. We found 4 areas of primary high inflow and infiltration. They're both in the city and in Frenchtown Township.
Okay, so once this is completed,
Yes,
we're good.
Yes, ultimately, once we're done with all 4 areas, we would then be moving to certify the system to meet what's called the remedial design storm in the state of Michigan, and we would be able to meet that and remove that from our permit.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Councilman Lamore?
Yes, Your Honor. Regarding Council Action 2734, I make a motion to approve the Fishbeck Professional Engineering Consulting Services proposal for the City of Monroe Wastewater System, CAP, Part 2 titled 2020 Sewer Investigations and Phase 1 Inflow and Infiltration Removal, as described in the proposal dated May 5th, 2020, the amount of $162,400, encumber $174,000 for the project, and authorize the Director of Water and Wastewater to sign all necessary documents on behalf of the city.
Second.
There's a motion by Councilman Moore, supported by Councilman Felder on item 2734 as presented. Any final comments from questions from council? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Whitman,
Yes.
Michaelangeli,
Yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Jermaine,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item is the consent agenda, and for item B, approval of payments, the amount should read $919,440.81, 919,440.81.
Thank you. If there's no questions on the consent agenda, a motion.
Your Honor,
Councilman Felder.
I move that all items on the consent agenda be accepted, placed on file, and the recommendations carried out.
Second.
Or,
There's a motion by Councilman Felder, supported by Councilman Lamore, that items on the consent agenda be accepted and placed on file and carried out. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Whitman,
Yes.
Michaelangeli,
yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Jermaine,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes.
I have no further items, Your Honor.
Okay, next is council comments. It's May, so Councilman Lamore.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a quick question, possibly to City Attorney Buds. Would it be something prudent on our behalf or possible for us to put together maybe an uninsured landowner policy of such that would say or direct owners in the city limits that, hey, this is how we're going to handle the situations when you don't have insurance on your property? Is that a possibility? Maybe it's a question for our city manager. Just something to present to the residents to say, hey, look, we're looking out for your best interest and we're trying to make sure that your dollar goes as far as it can. But these things put an impedance on all types of dollars that we spend in the city, because we're spending money and backtracking constantly on things that we shouldn't be spending money on, that should have been insured to begin with.
Is it here, Councilman, you're thinking, is it a policy that's through the administration or something that Mr. Buds or both? That
we create policy?
I'll go to Mr. Pastu first and see his thoughts, and then if you have any exposure or experience in that realm.
You know, I think that I'm going to have to look through our housing rental ordinance in a little more detail, but I would assume that it needs to be updated anyways, based on some of our conversations over the last several months. But obviously you have to have some sort of means of insurance in there. In this case, it was obviously an uninsured owner that was renting, and so, you know, I'm contemplating, and something Mr. Buds and I could talk about is what kind of penalties you can incorporate in there if they're not registering and meeting all of the criteria for a rental unit.
Well, and I guess my point is, yes, he's going to get in trouble with the state. What good does that do us, the city, that is responsible for the land now and basically getting nothing from it except for a disposal fee? So from my perspective, that's just putting a lot of pressure on our residents to pay for these things. And it's going to set a precedent coming forward that, you know, I'm a renter, or I'm a rental owner. Why bother paying my property insurance? No big deal. Just let it go. So that's just my opinion on it. And I agree with Councilman Michaelangeli on this, that at some point we have to put down our feet and say, we're sticking in the mud. We're done. We've had enough with paying for these items, and we shouldn't have to be responsible for them. So it does irritate me, and I'm sure as it irritates Councilman Michaelangeli and probably the rest of us, that we can't do anything. We basically, our hands are tied on this.
Okay.
So
I think, go ahead. I'm sorry, Councilman.
For Attorney Butts.
Your Honor, if I may.
Yes, Mr. Buds.
Please.
This may be slightly dancing more towards policy than legal, but you know, I mean, part of what my response to this would be is when we have rental properties that don't get certified and are not well maintained and lose their value, that makes it easier to make a financial decision that you're not going to insure them, because if they are lost, it's not a significant financial damage. Whereas if you had quality rental stock and were handling it in that way, it would make much more of a business decision to keep that insurance in place. And it's certainly something, we have talked internally about new and different approaches to rental inspection process. And the city manager and I have been engaged in those discussions. And unfortunately, as with many things, the current pandemic makes going into a lot of homes for these rental inspections a bit of a, I'll say, catch-22 for our inspectors. And so that's a discussion that I think you can expect to hear more on as we get through that scenario. And I'll leave the rest to Mr. Pastu on that front.
Okay. Councilman?
And maybe just to finish up on that, it actually makes a lot of these rental property owners look bad that are taking care of their properties. It's giving basically a bad name for every rental property owner when in essence he's one of maybe the few that do this. I don't know, but I think we need to do something regarding this and stop it from happening in the future. And the only way I can think of that happening is if we, city council, create some kind of policy to make sure that they basically keep their properties up and stay up on their insurance. And other than that, the other thing I have to say is please stay safe again. And thank you again for allowing me to make comments. That's it.
Thank you, Councilman. There may be additional comments to yours from other council members. I know that I have some regarding some analysis I think we can do internally to maybe identify locations, but I'll say my comments at the end, see if others might have similar. Councilman Felder, and I'm not going to pass by you. You're up, sir.
No items this evening, Your Honor. Just hope everyone's safe and healthy.
Very good. Thank you. Councilwoman Whitman.
Well, I was looking forward to seeing everyone, and that didn't happen. I really have no other comments except that I hope everyone is staying dry, and that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Michelangelo?
Yeah, Your Honor, I'm kind of like a dog that doesn't want to give up a bone right now. So I don't see any reason why our rental inspection ordinance doesn't require a person who wants to get a certificate to prove that they have insurance, and then to take it one step further, that they have to add onto their insurance policy the city of Monroe as additionally insured. That can happen. The other part of this, and it gets what the city attorney said, which I really want to discuss this with council. I mean, he made a great point that I think is really good policy, or lack of policy on our part, when he made the statement that a property owner can make a decision if their property isn't worth enough to have insurance, that they can let it burn to the ground and walk away from it. And as far as I'm concerned, that is a policy that this city should not even accept. Because what does it say about our housing stock that people can buy a house, turn around, rent it, buy it for cheap, turn around and rent it, not have any insurance, and understand that if it burns to the ground, all they do is walk away and the city of Monroe is going to take care of it. That doesn't bode well for us at all. So I like I said, I'm a dog that doesn't want to give up a bone. I have been harping on this issue that we have to have better and stronger rental inspection procedures in this community, or else we're going to continue losing value in our housing stock. And this is the poster child of what can go wrong. And as far as I'm concerned, this is the watershed moment for the city to get its act together to really go after the rental inspection program, because this is the worst that can happen. So that's all I have to say on this topic. But I just want to make sure that the city administration knows it's going on my reminder list, and I am not going to give it up. So with that said, I hope everybody stays safe. I will now drop my bone for tonight. and we'll move on. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilman. And a couple extra points that you made there, I think is good for the dialogue that's coming up, and some information that you'll be looking for at our session there. So, and I may have something to add as well. Councilwoman Binding.
Thank you, Your Honor. I don't have any comments this evening other than to hope everyone stays safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Germaini.
Well, I agree with Councilman Icoangeli's sentiment on the rental housing. I'm not quite sure legally how we could make that happen, since it sounds like it's not against the law, which surprises me that there shouldn't be something against the law for not having insurance on your home. However, this particular property owner, I do not think is very wise. So, and again, I agree with Mr. Icoangeli, but I'm not quite sure which route we should take. So I look forward to the discussion that we're going to be having about this situation. On top of that, I want to congratulate all of the seniors this year for the graduation. It'll be a memorable year and a historical one for them. That's all, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I just have a couple comments. I'll start and follow up with the discussion on the homestead and rental, the rental property that burned at 229 Harrison there. So I know that council does submit blight notices, and that we've done in the past. I do those, and one of the items I always try to check on is, when we have blight, is it homeowner, is it rental? Just gives an idea of understanding how we move forward. And I've noticed at times that the assessor's office has the record. I think this is where we need to go. GIS is good. It gives sometimes it'll be a rental, but it'll show homestead, and it makes me concerned that, well, then we know that's not appropriate. Then I go to the assessors and find out the records are good. We're just, data's just catching up. Is how I'll say it. It's not that it's not being done. It takes a while to catch up sometimes. But as we move forward technology in our GIS, is there an internal way to take those rental properties and see what and we have them through the rental inspections, and they make sure they're not listed as homestead, or at least 100% homestead, because it could be 50 or 60% based off the analysis. So I think there's some analysis not from data that we can collect, and then it gets to what do we do for those when we have these circumstances, which are I agree, which are the worst, because you can see the path down the road, and we've been down this before, where it gets to the end, next thing it's put on a lien, and then it goes to the county, and then it ends up being we might have an option on it, but there's a lot of cost and expenditures. So I think it's good discussion. It's an unfortunate circumstance in our community, but yet that we find these things out, then it's not unfortunate. Now it's about following through with. I got a couple of the comments, but Councilman Icoangeli, I think you might have a follow-up. Your hand is up. Oh, you're good.
Forget to put the hand down.
Oh, that's okay. Well, you didn't pick the bone up again, so that's coming next time. I gotcha. So a couple other comments, just some things that reminders that are coming up. The MCOP, Monroe County Opportunity Program, put out this week the free weatherization assistance program. And I know it's going to be challenging to get through with these times of how people can apply for them. So I'm not going to go into a long flyer that came out. I'm just going to say a phone number that they've listed on a flyer, and it's the MCOP, and it's for the free weatherization assistance program. Now, there is certain things with applicants with below the 200% of the federal poverty guidelines. There's criteria there, but don't hesitate to call if you think that you may qualify or have opportunities to do some repairs. So the phone number and extension number, the phone number is 734-241-2775, extension 803. So I'm just going to pass that along so that maybe some of our residents can take advantage of this opportunity. I think that's the only announcement that I had today. So I think I'll stop there. And again, like all said, I want everybody to stay safe, stay healthy. Please, as we start to move forward, there's still executive orders that we're as a city are following to make sure that we get through this the best we can, so we're better as we come out, as we start to open up in the long term. So everybody, please be safe. Clerk Treasurer Lavoy.
I just have a couple of things this evening, Your Honor. First, tax invoices have gone out to residents and to property owners. If you haven't received anything by now, you should contact our office. Sometimes it still goes to a financial institution because at one point it was an escrow or something like that, and we don't always know that the circumstances have changed. So if you were expecting that you should have received a city tax invoice and you have not, please call the office 734-384-9140. You can drop off payments in the Dropbox, and you can also obviously mail them. I just have one request for, and I'd ask council to help spread the word as well. I was checking the Dropbox this past weekend, and there were a number of checks for water bills and for taxes that were put in the Dropbox, and they weren't in an envelope, and they weren't paper clipped to the invoice. And we keep them safe and we do our best to match them up. But if folks could just, either attach them to their bill with a paper clip or put them in an envelope, that'll help, ensure the safety of those checks and make sure that we get them okay. The other thing is absentee ballot applications will go out at the end of this week for the August election. To give you an idea how times are changing, for the March presidential primary, our permanent absentee voter list had roughly a little bit over 2,000 voters that requested, and we're now up to about 4,000 voters requesting absentee applications. I'm happy to see so many people wanting to participate and wanting to make sure that they were on that list. We're going to continue to remind folks to sign up for that. But again, we will be mailing them near the end of this week. It will go bulk mail, so it may take about a week for you to get those applications. But again, if that's something you're expecting and you don't receive it, please either email or call the clerk treasurer's office, and the number is the same, 734-384-9140. There's only one number now that you need to worry about to call the clerk or the treasurer, 734-384-9140. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Pastu, and if I could also, as I know that you provided the council with correspondence and just some of the information regarding the city hall facility, just for the residents, and also with that comes still some structure that needs to be in place, and how we're going to manage some of that for the visitors that may come. In your comments, if you could, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Actually, that's been kind of item we're working on is our reopening process. It will be fundamentally different, obviously, in light of the pandemic that we have, and it's still out there. And so we're establishing procedures and policies with that. In fact, I'll probably send you a draft. I'm going to send it to the department heads in the city hall first, but also to council, just to let you know what I'm thinking. We've talked a little bit about it, but I kind of drafted department by department, desk by desk, almost what we need to do to maintain some safety. But I'll forward it to council here in the next day or two, just to get your thoughts and comments on it. Mark had sent some comments to me as well. So I'll get that out and we'll get that circulating. But that is one item that we're working on here. So
is the timeline still what you were anticipated?
Yeah, no, I think the council authorized the reopening of city facilities June 8th. Employees are coming back June 1st, and we've got kind of an orientation program with them. I suspect once we, in fact, with the assessor's office, we've got a retirement and a vacancy we're filling, and so we, I authorize the assessor to bring those folks in and get started. And even tomorrow, Lieutenant Bentley at the fire department has a program to go talk about pathogens, mostly CDC related type of protocol to give some foundation to the policies that we're going to implement within the City Hall operation. So they're kind of the guinea pigs tomorrow morning, but we'll have a program for department by department to go through there and really try and reduce the public area footprint. We can, the less area there is, the better sanitization we can do for not only the public, but the employees as well. So, and that's part of the consideration. You'll see some panels going up at the counters, at workspaces, masks, gloves, all kinds of closing off certain areas of City Hall to the public. So, but I'll send you a draft of what I got. It's department by department. So,
Thank you.
the other thing with it is related to some of the changes today. We had the first bid opening using remote technology. By all accounts, went very, very well. This was with the utilities and their bidding. I was talking with Rebecca in Ed's office, and she said, "Gee, that was really good." It seemed to work very, very well, and so it will be more of a standard operating procedures, because even the contractors can look and see what the other bids are right there as they're opening on the screen itself. So we think not only does it make it much easier administratively, but far more transparent even to the participants and the bidders that are part of that process. So that was nice to see that the first one went fairly well. Got a lot of construction and bids are starting to go out. You'll have a couple of items at the next council meeting. And I know Patrick's bidding out a couple more. We've got the ALCC kitchens going out for bid. I think the opening is June 8th. We're also working with the building authority regarding roof bids for the multi-sports complex, National Park Education Center, the bids for the roof, working with Jacobs Architect on that. One of the things that we'll have at the next meeting is we're going to probably look to amend the courtesy fee that we have. It was adopted at March 16th. If you recall, part of it is encouraging people to use credit card for payment and because of the taxes, we want to take a look at maybe amending that a little bit. We have a limit of $1,000, and I think both Ed and I and Michelle will probably look at maybe some changes to that, in part because it may be difficult and costly on the tax end of it for some very, very high end taxpayers to use that means. So we'll come back with something at the June 1st meeting. And then other than that, we're still kind of evaluating some of the information regarding state revenue sharing. You know, deeply concerned over the next couple of years where we are with that. And to be honest with you, I'm not exactly, while the state is looking at about about $3 billion shortfall over the next 2 years, you know, how that equates back to the revenue sharing that we have, that information wasn't as forthcoming as I would have hoped, but we still have to plan for it. I know Ed's looking at doing a kind of a budget amendment here at the end of the calendar year and kind of assessing where we're going to be at the end of the fiscal year, which is June 30th. So a lot of that's going behind the scenes, you know, unrelated to what we normally would do. So with that, I'm not sure if I have anything else. Oh, I do have one other thing. Kicking the cats away now. Is that we were late in putting our notice out for the high grass abatement. That notice is going out this week. And it is a statutory requirement that we put the notice out there, and we'll be looking at enforcement starting next week with that. So I know there's a couple places in town that it's very, very high, and we apologize for not getting that notice out earlier. So that's all I have, Your Honor.
Very good. As I look at the screen, it says we have a couple participants. So next is for citizens' comments. I'm not sure who, I don't see numbers. And if there are any citizen, any comments from the public that has joined us this evening? I'll ask again and look to the clerk to see if there's any indications coming in. Any comments from those present on the virtual meeting this evening?
Your Honor, this is Jake. We have one member who has joined via phone. We'll have to unmute them. and ask them as they can't raise their hand.
Okay. So we could, I guess we could do that to see if they're, give them the opportunity if they wish to have a comment. I see a phone has come up. Is there a comment from one of the participants on phone this evening? Any public comment?
This is Chief White, and there's no comments.
Okay, thanks, Chief. All right, very good. There's no comments, so motion to adjourn, please.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Motion by Councilman Lamore, supported by Councilman Michelangeli to adjourn. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Whitman,
Councilwoman, you're muted, if you could.
No control over that.
She's now unmuted.
All
so
right.
Whitman,
Yes.
Iko Angeli,
Yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Germaine,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes. Thank you all. We're adjourned.
Everybody have a
And
good
stay
evening.
safe. Good
Good
seeing you.
night.
Bye.
Night.
Hi, everybody.